Jagrata, Jai Masters. People make spirituality very difficult. The biggest mistake they make is thinking that spirituality is somehow different than everyday life. If you sit to meditate and do mantras, and they get up and be neurotic, you wasted your time. If you learn not to be neurotic, it's greater than meditation. Meditation is a practice, mantras are practices, to learn to stay centered, calm, and go deep within yourself. Why not stay there all day? Why let things upset you? Why get uptight? Why freak out? Why get angry? Why get scared? Why get jealous? Why? All they do is create discomfort. Those are terribly uncomfortable things. So the real spirituality is what you do to work on yourself so that every single second of every moment you're feeling the presence of Shakti, the presence of spirit inside of you, lifting you, raising you, feeding you. And then you come outside and you interact with the world that's unfolding in front of you. What is so difficult about that? It's like if you're a kid and I send you to Disney World, it's a fun place. It doesn't matter what ride you go on. It doesn't matter how many kids are there. It doesn't matter exactly who you sit with on the particular ride you're on. It's just a fun place to spend a day. If you can't go there and have fun, it's not that there's something wrong with Disney World, there's something wrong with you. If you're complaining about the heat, if you don't like the fact that there's a line, if you don't like the fact that someone you don't know sat next to you in the ride, if you don't like the fact that one ride was closed and they had a substitute ride, like if you're going in there with a preconceived notion of how everything's supposed to be, you're not going to enjoy your day. You're going to suffer. You're going to get uptight. You're going to complain. It's going to be a very difficult experience. But that's not Disney World's fault. That's your fault. You did the silly thing of letting your mind usurp your experience. You let your thoughts about what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, to develop within your mind. And then when you were there at the presence of this very nice, playful place that was meant to bring you joy and happiness, you compared what was happening against what you wanted to be happening. You compared what was happening against what you didn't want to be happening. And so basically you ended up not enjoying the experience because it didn't match your concepts. It didn't match your opinions. It didn't match your views. It didn't match your likes and dislikes. Spirituality is not about finding a Disney World that matches your likes and dislikes. That's what people think it should be. Everything's wonderful and peaceful. It's heaven. You don't want to go there because then you never grow. You never change. You made this stuff up in your head, and then you're trying to create a place outside that matches what you made up in your head. If you do this, you will suffer. It's that simple. You will suffer at Disney World. You will suffer in your relationships. You do the exact same thing with your relationships that I'm talking about with Disney World. Instead of meeting somebody, getting to know them, enjoying the experience of knowing somebody other than yourself, you make up in your mind how you want this person to be, under all circumstances. How they're supposed to treat you, whether they're supposed to open the door, whether they're supposed to dote over you or leave you alone, whether they're supposed to give you space, whether they're supposed to let you dance with somebody else or not. You've got all these notions and concepts and views and opinions and preferences and hopes and dreams. Those are all mental things you made up in your head, and you're trying to find a person that will meet those. That's like trying to find a Disney World that is exactly the way you made up you want it to be. It's not going to happen in either case. But it isn't that person's fault, just like it's not Disney World's fault that it doesn't match what you made up. It is not another person's fault that they are not satisfying your needs, that they're not satisfying your concepts or views or opinions. They are a person. They're like you. They're a person. They're different than you. If you're going to get into a relationship with a person, it should be based upon the same reason you go to Disney World. I'm going to Disney World to see what's there. I'm going to Disney World to have a fun experience. I have no idea what it's going to be like. I don't have any idea. It's just a fun way to spend the day. It's like a day on the beach. That's how you enter a relationship with another person. I have no idea, none, at any time, what's going to come out of their mouth, or what they're going to wear, or what they're going to say or do, or whether they slurp their soup, or I don't have any idea. How would I know? I don't even know them. So I get to experience them. I get to meet them. I get to know them. I get to have a journey, something new, every minute. Not just the first time you meet them. How do you know they'll be the same the next time? Maybe they were in a mood and they'll be in a different mood. Isn't that fun? You can go to Disney World the second time and not have the exact same experience. Now that's very foreign to people because we are completely lost in the thoughts of our mind. And if the mind says it likes something, we like it. And the mind says we don't like something, we don't like it. And that is a problem, not a solution. That is a problem that we can't enjoy and experience life. It has to be the way we made it up. Okay? And if it is the way we made it up, we say, oh, I met this wonderful person. It's unbelievable. We got along so well. She liked everything I like and with the conversation. Oh, believe it, right? Then you go on a second date. Well, it didn't cross over. And you know what I'm talking about. But the net result is this pattern. I used a simple case of Disney World. I made it a little more complicated, much more complicated. When you go into a relationship with another person, it's the same thing with your job. You honestly are looking for a job, and they teach you to. You are looking for a job that matches what you like and what you don't like. To me, that's exactly the same as I need to find a theme park that's exactly the way I made up. It's not going to happen. If you can't enjoy going to work and being constructive and productive and working with other people and being given different tasks to do, and then you even get paid for doing it, if you can't enjoy that, there's something wrong with you. If you honestly believe that it has to be in exactly a certain field and it has to be around a certain kind of people and I have to have a boss that's just like this, if you're doing that, that is exactly the same as going to Disney World and making up how it's supposed to be and suffering. I am assuring you, if you do that with Disney World, you will suffer instead of having fun. If you do it with your relationships, you will suffer instead of having fun. If you do that with your job, you will suffer instead of having fun. Maybe you've noticed that's what happens. It doesn't work out real well. Why would it? Why would what you make up in your head by yourself in a room, oh, I think I like this. Oh, no, I think I like that. Just make it up in your head. Why would it manifest outside? One of the most important things I can ever teach you is that the outside is completely different than the inside. They have nothing to do with each other. The outside world is not made up of what you think. It is not made up of what you want. It is not made up of what you don't want. It's made up of the forces that have caused it to be the way it is. This gentleman is the way he is because where he was born, how he grew up, what his DNA is, et cetera, who he got married to, who he got divorced from, and what she was like, blah, blah. Just all of the past experiences he's had. He is the way he is because of his great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother and great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. I'll prove it to you. If they hadn't met, he wouldn't be here. There are forces that cause things to be the way they are. Aren't there? All right, that's why we study science. That's what physics is, chemistry, psychology, all of it. What is it? It's telling you why the outside world is the way it is. It's logical, it's reasonable, okay? It's not right or wrong. It just is in accordance to the forces that have caused it to be. How do I say that? Things are the way they are because of the things that made them be that way. That's called a truism. You might as well say 1 = 1. That's what makes the outside world. So every second what's in front of you was made up that way. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the forces that cause it to be that way. That's not what's going on inside of you. What's going on inside of you has everything to do with you. It's completely personal. You've had past experiences, and they left impressions on you. You dated somebody named Ben, and it was really nice, and now you like Benz. You just like Benz. Or the opposite. They turned you off, and now it freaks you out. You see a car that you once got in an accident with, freaks you out. V.F. Skinner says, man is the sum of his learned experiences. Well, that's not true. You are the consciousness that is aware that your mind is the sum of your learned experiences. You are aware, aren't you? What goes on in your head is not what goes on in his head, nor mine, nor will it be yours tomorrow, because you will have had other experiences, and therefore your mind will be talking about other things. So Skinner is right that your mind is the sum of your learned experiences. Your mind is completely the sum of your learned experiences. That's all your mind is. You have learned every moment of your life, something has unfolded in front of you. It has come in and taught you about that which unfolded in front of you. How's that? You didn't know about it before. You saw a snake, you met a person, you saw a cloud, you saw a rocket ship, whatever it is. Whatever you saw comes in and teaches you about that. You're an experiencer of that. I always ask you, I like to see when you smile at this, at the moment you're learning what's in front of you, how many other things are going on that you're not experiencing? About 700 billion zillion. You're not learning about those. You're not experiencing those. Are those less important than the one you're experiencing? No. It's just random they happen to be experiencing that one. Look to the right, you'll see a different one. So you have taken this minusculely meaningless, I call it statistically insignificant, amount of data, which is the moment unfolding in front of you, and then they happen moment after moment, and you think you know something. You can't know something if you're missing 99.99999% of everything every time, can you? That's humility. That's the person who woke up. So what your mind is full of is this meaningless moments that you have experienced. And to you, they're the whole world. Because that's the only thing you know. The computer only knows the data that's in it. You only know the data that got put in there. But a wise person knows that's nothing. It's nothing. It's completely meaningless. You only know the moment you picked up, and you're missing everything else that's happening everywhere, all over the world and all over the universe. Therefore, you don't know anything. I mean, you know something, but it's statistically insignificant. So that's what your mind is. It is the sum of the experiences that you've had. That is not what the world in front of you is. It's the sum of the influences that cause it to be that way. They have nothing to do with the experiences you've had. You grew up in here and there and whatever, right? There's nothing. The moment in front of you right now has nothing to do with your history. But your mind has everything to do with your history. And you're actually telling me that you're going to devote your life to making the world outside of you match what's going on inside of you. It is not going to happen. It will never happen. It has never happened for anybody. At some point you wake up and you realize, I heard it's fun to go to the beach. I'm going to imagine what's going to happen to me when I go to the beach. How every wavelet's going to be, whether there's going to be people surfing, whether it be whales, seals, every single thing. What size will the shells be and where will I find them? I'm going to have so much fun imagining all this. Then I'm going to go to the beach and suffer. What is the probability? Maybe you went to the wrong beach. Okay? Now go spend your life trying to find a beach that matches what you made up. Does that sound wise? Or does it sound wise to not make up how it's supposed to be and realize you have this opportunity to experience the way it is? So at least if you're going to pick up statistically insignificant amount, at least get it. It's bad enough you're missing everything. At least get what's in front of you. But you can't when you have these preferences, can you? You can't when you're sitting there judging it and saying it's not supposed to be that way and this is wrong, I wanted it this way. How do you know wrong or right or anything? You just made this up in your head. You know, I'm not going to get moral on you, but in terms of how the waves are supposed to be, how Disney World's supposed to be, how your partner's supposed to be, how your job is supposed to be, you made these things up. I guarantee you there's another person in this world that if you gave them your job, they would be ecstatic. They would think it's the most perfect job they could ever be. You just made this stuff up, and now you're complaining. Why make such a big deal out of it? Because you're doing it every second of your life. You're doing it with your relationships, you're doing it with your finances, you're doing it with your jobs, you're doing it with everything. So you wake up and you realize something's wrong, and it's not the world. It's not the job. It's not the spouse. It's not the kids. It's not Disney World. It's not the beach. What's wrong is my process. That instead of experiencing the moments that are gifted to me, at least this is the one I'm seeing. It's a gift, okay? It's being given to you. This is the experience you're having. Every moment, that's the experience you're getting. You're missing all the rest. At least have the one you're having. This is the one the universe is giving you. And just for a moment, if you're paying attention, do you understand that no one else has experienced what you're experiencing? Right now in this room, you're all seeing me different. Different angle, different lighting, everything. So every moment, you're experiencing something different than everybody else. And no one has ever experienced what you're experiencing, and no one ever will. It's not going to happen again, right? The exact same thing. The world just keeps moving through time and space. So you're being given this unique gift of a totally special moment that was made just for you. That all the universe had to come together to make that happen, and you're not being given any of the rest of the moments. So it's like, this is the present you were given. And so you sit there and realize, I've ruined it. How did I ruin it? Okay, Christmas is coming up. Hanukkah too. We give presents. Okay? How would you like it if you had children and they decided every present you better give them if you love them? And you're out there trying to buy presents because you love them. I guarantee you they're not going to like it. Because there is no way you're getting exactly the present they made up. So if they're sitting there opening that present, the kid's supposed to have fun opening the present. And it's not fun. They're scared to death. It won't be what they want. It won't be the color. It won't be the size. It won't be the thing. That's no way to have Christmas, is it? That is what you're doing with the moments in front of you. You think you know how they're supposed to be, don't you? And because you think you know how they're supposed to be, you can't enjoy the way they are. That is as simple as that. So spirituality, under all conditions, is about ceasing to do that. It is about honoring and respecting that the moment that's unfolding in front of you took 13.8 billion years to get there. Every single thing had to happen exactly the way it did for that moment to be the way it is in front of you from the beginning of time and space. I told you, if your great-great-grandmother didn't meet your great-great-grandfather, he ain't here. Every single thing had to happen exactly the way it did for you to be here. So you pay respect to realize the moment that's being presented to you is a gift. You want to think of it as a gift from God, you're welcome to. If you want to think of a gift from the universe, it is. It's a gift from time and space of the forces of creation that have given you this moment. If you have made up an alternate reality inside your head, and you have, then you can't experience this moment. You can only judge it. The Third Day Patriarch says to end the burdensome practice of judging. If you're in there judging the moment that's unfolding in front of you, you can't be experiencing the moment. Now let's look at that. There's a big difference between me sitting in here wanting something to be a certain way, wanting something to not be a certain way, judging whether it's starting to look like it's going to be the way I want or starting to look the way I don't want. That whole experience is very different than me actually experiencing the moment that's there. There's a moment there. There's weather. It's raining out. Is that fun? No, I wanted to go camping. Well, there you go. You just ruined the weather. The weather didn't ruin you. The weather is just the result of all the forces that cause it to be that way. It's not personal. It didn't purposely rain because you were going camping. So a wise person wakes up and realizes they have ruined their life. They are upset, neurotic, complaining, tension, everything. Of course you are. Because the world that you created inside is different than the world that's unfolding outside. And it will always be that way. Sometimes you have hope. As you mean by hope. I hope someday it'll be the way I want. All right? It won't. And I don't even want you to want it. I want you to wake up and realize the world has a right to be the way it is. Doesn't mean you can't help it. Doesn't mean you can't change it. Nobody's saying that. But you better start with acceptance. You start by looking outside and saying, wow, look what's there. Look, it's raining. Look, she's tall. Look, she's short. Look what's there. Look at these people. This is reality. It's there. If you can't handle reality, it's because you made up an alternate reality and reality is not matching it. If you go to the beach and you're having a good time and somebody else went to the beach and say, oh, it was terrible. I'm telling you why. Because that other person knew what size the waves were supposed to be and knew what kind of shells they were supposed to find and knew who was coming and who was not there. And they had a notion in their head of what was supposed to happen when they went to the beach. If it didn't happen, they didn't have a good time. That is what we are doing with our lives every single minute. But we're not waking up and realizing, look at this. I'm making a mess of things because I'm making all this stuff in my head, and then I'm judging what's happening based on that. No, we don't do that. We're not smart enough for that. We say it's wrong because it's not the way I want. It's bad enough that we do that we make up an alternate reality. We come back, and the parents say, did you enjoy this? No. Why? It was all wrong. The rides I went on, I wanted them to go further out. They didn't go that far out. Nah, they went too far out. I made up how it was supposed to be, and it wasn't that way, so it was wrong. The world is not wrong. It just is. It is the way it is because of the forces that cause it to be that way. Now, before we're finished, I will give you a job where you can work with it, you can raise it, you're supposed to. But you can't work with something if you can't handle it. If you're a nurse and you can't handle blood, get out of the kitchen if you can't take the heat. If you freak out every time it starts bleeding, You're in the wrong profession. I don't want you there, right? You have to be able to handle what's going on in order to work with it. Otherwise, what happens is it starts happening, it comes into your inner system, and your inner system freaks out. It starts getting upset, it gets angry, it gets scared, it gets insecure, self-conscious. Then you're not comfortable inside yourself. And because you're not comfortable inside yourself, you can't deal with what's outside. You're too busy dealing with what's inside. So now I have to try to make the outside be the way that my inside feels good. And that is what everybody's busy doing. Everybody. They're busy trying to manipulate and control people, places, things, jobs, circumstances, weather, everything, to be the way that when it comes in, it makes them feel more comfortable because it matches their patterns. You have patterns inside, you know you do. And everybody has different ones, right? What yoga, spirituality tells you is that is a wasted life. If you are out there trying to get things the way you want, you have wasted your life. If you are out there trying to make sure that what you don't want to happen doesn't happen, you've wasted your life. The world is the result of all the forces that made it be the way it is. And you're saying, no, don't be that way. So you're causing suppression and disturbance, and that's where karma comes from. The world is unfolding in a certain way. If you can handle it, you don't take on karma. You can work with it, you can raise it, but I'm telling you, if you can let the weather come and go, there's no problem. But if you can't let the weather come and go, and you build blockades to stop the wind, you then have to maintain those blockades forever. You took on the karma of stopping the wind. If you mess with reality, you better be ready to keep messing with it. Because there's a natural way it's unfolding, and if you can't accept that, then you have to assert your will to try and make it be the way you decided you want it to be. This is the essence of spirituality. Do you understand that? It is the essence of the Gita. It is the essence of Buddhist teachings. It is the essence of Christ's teachings. It is the essence of all spirituality. What? Acceptance. You start with acceptance. You start by looking outside and saying, why would I think that what I made up is what should be out there? That's the biggest egotistical thing I've ever heard of, right? And then to think that I'm supposed to make it be the way I want, right? Well, what if people don't want it the way you want? That's what weapons are for. That's why we have wars. The cause of all conflict is because every single person has had different experiences, therefore they made up a different way they want it to be. And nobody agrees. So we got a major problem going on out there, don't we? The answer is not to manipulate and control the people to make them be the way you want. It is to change yourself. A quote from Rumi is, he said, yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I'm wise, so I want to change myself. That's spirituality. You are not working out there to try and make everything match what you made up in here. You are working in here to cease having a personal way that you have to have it be for you to be okay. Let's say you're the kind of person, and then we'll move on. Say you're the kind of person that's pretty picky about the weather. You can handle 69 to 73 without saying it's too cold or it's too hot. Humidity below 55%. I don't want the hair getting frizzy. No snow, not much precipitation, a little bit. Maybe 87% of the days are reasonably dry, and we'll let a little bit. Okay, you don't like wind because it messes your hair up. All right, how much fun are you going to have? How much fun are you going to have in life? Not much, especially if you live in Florida. You're going to be unhappy. What if you were the kind of person that said, I love the cold, I get to bundle up, I put layers upon layers, it's the most fun I ever had in the thing, right? And when it's hot, I get to take them all off, it's just beautiful, and it's so warm, and it feels so good. And the wind, I love when the wind blows, it gets really strong. I would love the wind to get so strong, I have to hold onto a tree. It's fun, and the gentle breeze is beautiful. What if you're that kind of person? All of a sudden you're having fun with all the weather. Which would you rather be? Would you rather be the person that enjoyed everything? Or would you rather be the person who it has to be this tiny little window for it to be what you like? Because that's who you are now. With everything, with relationships, with finance, with jobs, with weather, with everything. There's this tiny little window that your mind has defined, I'm okay if it's that way. And you're out there fighting with everybody and everything to make it be that way. And the only time you can be happy is if it is that way. Whereas a yogi, somebody who woke up, sits there and says, that's ridiculous. I've made the window so small it can never be okay. Why don't I just change myself? If it takes two to tango, my system in my head merging with the reality of reality, why am I so busy changing reality? That's a very hard thing to do. It's very hard for me to change what you look like and change how you act and change what you do or change everything. But I could change myself to like how you are. I could change myself to like the different moods you get in. I could change myself to think, oh, she's exciting. You never know what's going to happen next. I could do anything I want inside. I'm the only one in here. So if you have a choice between changing yourself so you can enjoy reality or changing reality so it matches this garbage that you made up, I wonder which one makes sense. See, some people say spirituality is not logical. Yes, it is. It's totally logical to sit there and say, I am working on myself instead of working on everybody else. There's so many ways to look at it. It just blows my mind. Let's say you really, really don't agree with me and you really, really, really want the moment to be the way you want. It's your wedding and you want it to be exactly the way you want. You want that day. So you put all kinds of energy and money and time and hire people and do everything to get it that way. Even if you get it exactly that way, it's not going to stay that way. Another moment's going to happen 1 moment later. You put all your energy into making one moment be the way you want. What about all the other moments that are going to happen for your whole life? You didn't invest in those one iota. You made it worse because you reinforced the habit that I can't be okay unless everything's the way I want. It's like an addiction. So a wise person says, if I'm going to put that kind of energy out, I want to learn to open myself. I want to learn to become more expansive, more accepting, more appreciative of things. If I can train myself to do that, then every moment's better, not just one moment. Okay, you're the one who's experiencing everything. If you change the experiencer, you're way better off. And that is what all spiritual practices are about. You can paint them any way you want. They are about you learning to let go of yourself. Christ said you must die to be reborn. He means die of that stuff I've been talking about. You have to let go of all this personal garbage that you're running around with, saying, I, me, mine, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and it better be that way, and I can only be happy if everything's... It's ridiculous. To me, to hear someone say that is equivalent to hearing a drug addict say, I can only be happy if I have my drug. I'm telling you, take a drug addict who doesn't have their drug. Take a picture of them, look at them, talk to them, and tell me whether they get better when you give them the drug. Tell me if they look better, look a little healthier, a little happier, a little more together. Because I guarantee you they do, right? You could take a heroin addict going through withdrawal. They don't look good at all. But just give them some heroin. See what happens. Oh, they calm right down and be much more pleasant to be around. That means we should give them the heroin? I don't think one of you would say so. It is the exact same thing with this garbage you have done inside your mind. You have limited your ability to experience and enjoy the world by deciding how it has to be for you to be okay. When it starts to be the way you want, you get excited. You feel inspired. You open up. When it starts to not be the way you want, you get upset, angry. And if it starts to be the way you don't want, you really freak out. That is what is being taught to us, is to sit there, and this is what the Buddha taught. I'll go into it in a second. Those are the noble truths of Buddha. That you sit there and realize, I messed this up. It's not messed up. I messed this up. It doesn't mean, let's get that over. Once you get yourself together, which you do by letting go of yourself, and you're able to look at the world and see the world, not see what you like and dislike. Imagine meeting a person and not trying to figure out whether you can get anything from them or what you want from them or what you're afraid of or that they remind you of your mother or your sister. You just actually meet a person. Nobody can do that. It's hilarious. Everybody's got all this garbage going on inside about whether that matches what they like. Oh, she's got red hair. I always like redheads. I don't like redheads. You're taking what's happening outside and letting it stimulate this whole mess inside based on your past experiences. Then you can't experience reality. What if you could? Then what will happen is you will come into the world. One, you'll be excited. Why would I be excited? It's fun. It's been fun. It's just fun. It's a happening place. I guarantee you something will happen today. You know how many things will happen to you today? Thousands and millions. There's a universe unfolding in front of you. So you're excited about to see what's going to happen. You're scared. Now everybody's scared to see what's going to happen, aren't they? Because it might not match what I want. Or it might match what I don't want. That's why there's so much fear. That's why there's so much tension. And why there's so much anxiety. There is no anxiety. There is no tension. There is just consciousness experiencing reality. That is what's called be here now. That is the moment of experience, the present moment. The moment's unfolding, you're experiencing it. Can't I deal with it? Of course you deal with it. You're part of it. It comes in front of you. You're not freaking out over it, either for or against. You're just experiencing it. And what is going to happen is going to touch you. It's going to touch you very deeply, like a beautiful sunset touches you, like a beautiful painting touches you. You get out of the way. It comes all the way in. And you're going to feel that you wish to express the beauty that it caused inside of you. So you see somebody, they're having trouble getting in their car, their packages are falling, and you're there, and all this joy wells up inside of you that you get to help somebody. That's the moment that unfolded in front of you. It's not why would you help them. When somebody says, well, why would you help them if you're okay? And what they're saying is the only reason I'm going to help them because I want something. Maybe she'll give me a tip, right? Or maybe she knows someone who can give me a job. In other words, the only reason you would help her is because you're not okay. And you're trying to get something from her. What if you were okay, you're filled with joy and love, and you get to express that by helping this person. You get to express that. I told you, many of you know I ran a company with 2,300 employees reporting to me, right? I would like to think that when the employees came to work, they actually came to do the work. That they were programmers, came to program, or they came to sell. They're just all excited about coming to work to get to do what they're doing. That's not why people go to work. They go to work to earn money. They go to work so they have enough money and they'll have the weekend and do what they want. They go to work so they can save up for the vacation, and 2 weeks out of the year they get to go someplace special. They go to work so they can support their family. No. Doesn't anybody go to work to do the work? If you are open and clear, you are inspired by every single thing you come in contact with. I get to put this widget on top of a thing, right? You work in an assembly line. Wow, I get to do it again. It doesn't have to be boring. It's exciting if you're open. So every single thing you do can be exciting if you're excited. If you're not excited, then the thing has to be that which makes you excited. The person has to be that which makes you feel love. The job has to be the one that turns you on. What if you always felt love? What if you were always inspired? Then you come into this world and you have fun. And not only do you have fun, but you improve and help everything that's passing in front of you. You're raising everything instead of taking from it, grabbing, and so on. All of this comes down to the same thing. And this, by the way, is spirituality. That I just told you right there, that is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. You work and renounce the fruits of your action. That you do the work for the purpose of the work, not for the purpose of the gains and the results that it's doing, all right? How do you do that? You can't make yourself do that. If you're not okay and you're trying to do the work so you'll be okay, you can't just tell yourself, no, I'm renouncing the fruits of my action. I'm renouncing it. That's ridiculous. That's like putting something on top of something on top of something. But if you work on yourself and you become open and you let go of all this garbage of thinking that things have to be a certain way for you to be okay, and you've literally done enough work, then you're going to be inspired to go to work. You're going to be inspired to come home. You're going to be inspired to be with your family. You'll be inspired. Every single moment is the same as a vacation. Do you know a spiritual person does not ever need a vacation? Ever. They wouldn't even understand why people take them. It's like, you love somebody. You've been dating them for 3 days. You love them more than anything. You can't wait to see them. Wouldn't you like to have a vacation from them? Are you ready for a vacation from them? Be without them for a while? No, I don't want a vacation from them. I want to be with them. That's how you are about your entire life. You don't ever get tired. You don't ever get bored. You don't ever get burned out. You don't ever feel tension or anxiety or anything like that because you're open and your energy's flowing inside. You didn't condition your love, your inspiration, your happiness based upon the fact that the world had to be the way you wanted. You got rid of the whole wanted thing. And you just said, the very fact that the world exists turns me on. Why does it have to be a certain way to turn you on? Why can't it just turn you on that it exists? You sit on a little planet, spin in the middle of nowhere. It's empty, dark space. And there's things for you to do. Go to Mars. There's nothing to do. It's the most boring place in the world. Here it's never boring. Except you make it boring because you say, I'm not interested in what's happening. But if something else happened, I'd be interested. All right, does everybody see this duality you create within your mind? And then you create this friction with the world. So spirituality, real spirituality says, you're not going anywheres while you think life is about getting what you want and avoiding what you don't want. Well, you're going somewheres. You're going into the world of trying to make things be the way you want and make sure they're not the way you don't want. And that's a world of suffering. Let's take Buddha's Noble Truths. all of life is suffering? He said, all of life is suffering. Why? Because you made it that way. It is. The rich people are suffering. You notice the rich people are suffering? You notice the poor people are suffering? You know, the old people are suffering? The young people are suffering? The young people are suffering because they want to be old. The old people are suffering because they want to be young. Married people are suffering because they want to be single. The single people are suffering because they want to be married. Everybody's suffering at one point or another. And Buddha said they're all suffering. Why? And he meditated on it. And he studied. And one day he came back to town after all these years of sitting in solitude, and he said, I figured out why everybody's suffering. I said, well, let me take notes. You don't need notes. It's just a one-liner. How can it be a one-liner? Everybody's suffering. It has to be poverty and sickness and old age and greed. There are lots of things that make people suffer, right? He said, no. One thing. First noble truth, all life is suffering. Second noble truth, the cause of suffering is preference. The cause of all suffering is desire. Desire, I don't like to use the word desire because in the West, we think desire means lust, greed, extreme stuff, right? It is interpreted, and it's properly so, by any of the deep Zen teachers. And what he meant, and he did mean it, is preference. That because, what is a desire? A way I want it to be. How's that? What is desire? It's not lust. It's a way I want it to be. I desire that it not be cloudy today. I desire I could have his watch. I desire to feel better. It's something you want that you don't have. How's that? That a desire? There's something I want that I don't have. You don't desire what you do have, but somehow a notion got put in your mind that that thing would make me feel better. Therefore, I want it. A notion got put in your mind that that thing would make me suffer. Therefore, I don't want it. So you have these concepts. Now, the thing I talked about all night. You have these views, concepts, opinions, preferences, hopes, dreams, call it what you want, desires. The cause of suffering is desire. Buddha had it right. If you don't have these notions in your mind about how things have to be, wait till you see how wonderful the world is. It's just beautiful. It's just a very exciting experience. Doesn't mean it's always pleasant. It's just exciting. But if you're playing a sport, you don't necessarily win every time. It's exciting to be challenged, isn't it? It's exciting to have someone who's better than you are that's playing it. The world doesn't necessarily, it doesn't mean when Buddha said end suffering, mean it's not a way of getting what you want. First noble truth, all life is suffering. Second noble truth, the cause of suffering is preference. Third noble truth is to end suffering, stop it. He said to end suffering, end desire. But then they misinterpret that. And they take it as renunciation, as right and wrong, and so on. No, that's having a desire but deciding you're not supposed to. That's what renunciation is. If I don't have a desire, there's nothing to renounce. So otherwise I have this desire, and I'm not supposed to do it. That doesn't work. That is not spirituality. Suppression is not spirituality. You have to go to the root. Buddhists talk about going to the root. The root is that I have made up a system within my mind based on my past experiences of what I want and what I don't want. There, I said it. That's what Buddha said, and that causes suffering, period. So instead, you come inside and you realize, I have a problem. The problem is my mind keeps making up what it wants, keeps making up what it doesn't want. And then I start being scared that the world won't be the way I want or that it will be the way I don't want. Can you relate to that? And I got tension, anxiety. I have anxiety. About what? What's there to be anxious about? The world spins on its axis. Been doing it for 4.5 billion years. You anxious that someday it won't? Don't worry about it. The weather happens. All kinds of things happen all by themselves. You have trillions, 6 or 10 trillion cells within your body. Do you worry about whether they're going to divide properly? And only if one goes haywire, then you worry, all right? But net result is every single minute of every day, 10 trillion things inside your body are doing what they need to be doing. You're not worried about it. All of these things are very important, and you're letting them go on by themselves. The sun comes up, the body goes about its business. All that Buddha is saying is, it's all going on by itself. You're just the experiencer of the unfolding of life. Why don't you start by honoring and respecting it? Then you won't have trouble with it. So those are the noble truths. They're all spiritual teachings are the same. They basically are saying, you have made a mess of things by letting your mind make up how everything's supposed to be. And now you can't be happy unless it's that way. And you get upset when it's not that way. You need to clean that out. That's what it boils down to. And how? We're talking Buddha. All life is suffering. Cause suffering is desire. To end suffering, end desire. How? The Eightfold Path. That's the fourth noble truth. So he lays out the Buddhist path. Well, Christians have their path. Zen has its path. You have your path. Doesn't matter. The point is you're all doing the same thing, which is, how do I learn to not get caught up in my mind that made up what it wants? One way to do it is to notice why did it make up what it wants? I told you. Because you've had past experiences, and they left impressions inside of you. And that's what your likes and dislikes. In yoga, we call them some scars. It left these impressions inside of you that are now manifesting, telling you what you like and what you don't like. When you were little, you had a blanket. It's all psychology. You had a blanket. It was blue. They took it away too soon. You hate blue. Or you love it. But you're not neutral about it. These things left impressions. And those give you the sense of like and dislike. You didn't decide what you like. You did not. Your mind just said it. Oh, I like her. You don't even know why. Because her hair flips a little bit like your mother's did. And you loved your mother. Or I don't like her because your hair flips a little bit. You don't like your mother. It's just impressions. That's what some scars are. Just impressions that got left on your mental body, on your mind. And now the outside world stimulates those. And it starts saying, I like it, I don't like it, I'm open, I'm closed. Everything. You didn't decide what kind of art you like. You didn't decide what kind of music you like. You didn't. When you were 12 years old, you were with someone you liked, and they liked hip-hop or something like that. And for the rest of your life, every time you hear hip-hop, your heart opens. You say, I've always been that way. No, you were that way since that guy you dated with, and he kissed you. That was the song that was playing. And you ever have special songs that turn you on? You weren't born that way. It isn't something I think I'll make this my song. That's not what happens. An experience happens. It leaves an impression on you. It is so arbitrary, it is ridiculous. If it was playing a different song, you'd have a different feeling. And then 10 years later, when you go out on a date, or 20 years later, you go out on a blind date from the web, or somebody hooked you up, and you go to a restaurant and they're playing the song that you really liked. You like the guy. You're just a pinball machine. You don't know what's going to happen next. It opens, it closes, it bounces all around. You can't figure out from one moment to the next because you have these impressions left inside. So this is the answer. It's very simple. First, understand life is not about getting what you want and avoiding what you don't want. That is the shallowest life that anybody could possibly live, and unfortunately everybody lives it. Because what you like and dislike, you didn't even decide. They're just you're programmed. You got software. It got programmed inside of you what to like and dislike based on what your preacher did, what your mother did, what your first boyfriend did, what your ex-husband did. Right? I guarantee you, if you used to go to this restaurant with your ex-husband and then you all got divorced, hated it, you'll never go to that restaurant again. And if you did, it would make you sick. You'd make yourself sick. Right? It's like these impressions just got left inside of you. And so a wise person takes arms against this and says, I will not live like that. I will not sit there and say, because these impressions are left inside of me, that I can only be happy if the world matches them. I've limited my happiness to 0.001% of my breaths. All right, how many times have you been blissed out? What percentage of the breaths you've taken in your life were you in a state of absolute ecstasy and well-being? 0.00001. It's supposed to be 99.9. You're supposed to be enjoying your life. It's exciting. It's beautiful. It's filled with joy. But you've limited. You're only going to get turned on if the world happens to match these patterns you have stored inside, because they are running your life. That's how powerful some scars. The Vedas talked about some scars. The Upanishads. That's what this is. It's not some weird thing. So to free yourself, instead of using your will to try to make this world that has nothing to do with you, it's just going about its business, to try to make it match the garbage you've collected inside, why don't you instead let go of the garbage that's inside so that you can enjoy things as they are and not just enjoy them when they match you? That is all of spirituality. It's called spiritual purification. Spiritual purification is, I'm going to get rid of my garbage. And that's the bottom line. I'm going to get rid of my garbage. How? You're going to find out. That's what all yoga is about. That's what all Zen's about. That's what all the teachings are about, the deep teachings. They're about how to cleanse this garbage that has gotten stored inside of you. Can you cleanse it? Yes. Well, what if I had a terrible divorce? So what? It's not happening right now. Why is it still in there? That's my attitude. If it ain't happening now, why am I being bothered about it? It's bad enough I was bothered about what was happening. If it happened 3 years ago, why is it still inside of me? I must be keeping it in there myself. It's not going to stay inside of you. It's not even happening. You learn to let go. You learn to let go. When it comes back up, you relax and you release. You just relax and say, you are welcome to come back up in here. It hurts. Of course it hurts. It was stored with pain. It's coming back with pain. Would you rather store the pain inside of you or get rid of it so it's not running your life? That's how a yogi lives. That's how a great being lives. That's a vow that a great being takes to themselves. Before I die, I'm going to see what it's like to live without this stuff inside of here. You are you. Hi, you in there? Hi. Hi. You're not this garbage that keeps popping up inside, making you like a marionette. All of a sudden it pops up. I don't want to be here. I'm not comfortable. I don't want to be here. You leave. I would never do what he tells me to do. Never. I spent years and years and years liberating myself to sit there and say, if I go somewhere, say, I don't like it, I'm just going to eat it and I'll enjoy it. And no way I'm letting that whining thing run your life. So you relax your way through it. It comes up, you relax. It comes up, you relax. I teach you all the time. You start, remember I started by saying spirituality is every moment of your life. It's not what happens on your meditation pillow. You're living your life. It starts raining. Somebody's driving too slow in front of you. Somebody says something you don't like. Then they walk away. Let it go. Start with these tiny little experiences. They're more important than the big ones. When you start playing the piano, you don't start with Beethoven. You start with the scales. So don't tell me I know how to let go of the divorce. It really made a big, deep impression on me. All right. So don't work with the divorce. Work with, like I told you, work with the fact that it's raining when you have to get out of the car. Don't make a melodrama out of it. But I get wet. Come on. These are the scales. You don't want that stuff inside of you, do you? Somebody says one word to you in the morning, right? And it ruins your whole day. No, it's ridiculous. You have to learn to let these things go. That's what meditation's about, practicing letting go. That's what mantra's about, having an alternative in your mind that's more mild and balanced than what your mind is normally doing. And all your spiritual techniques are about relaxing and releasing so that these things do not leave impressions inside of you. Somebody beeps at you on your way to work. Do you want that to ruin your day? Let it go. I don't want you carrying it. I don't want you telling everybody about it. I don't want you complaining about it. It's just a moment in life, isn't it? Why would you let that determine your state of being and your mood and everything? Relax and release. Every moment, not just in meditation. Every moment, let go. Understand if you don't let go, you're storing it inside of you. And if it's stored inside of you, it's going to mess you up for the rest of your life. Is it true this stuff could still be in there from when you were 6? You better say yes, because that's the entire science of psychology. When you're 66 years old, you can still get hit, have soft spots about stuff that happened when you were 6. You want that? You want to carry that garbage for your entire life and have it run your life? No. A spiritual being says, no way. I'm going to liberate myself. I'm going to free myself from myself. Liberation is not about liberating yourself from the world. It's about liberating yourself from yourself. And so constantly let go, constantly relax. If stuff outside stimulates something inside, relax and release. If when you're relaxed and released, there's still a problem outside, deal with it. By all means, do the best you can to raise the moments that are passing by you, but not because you can't handle them. You handle them first, let go of whatever they hit, then deal with them as an act of service, as an act of perfection, as an act of giving, not as an act of taking. If I can't handle it, I'm going to try and take from the moment to make me better. If I can handle it, I'm able to come out and do some good, do something beautiful, and raise it. So if you will live like that and keep letting go, you're going to come back and tell me, like everybody always has for all these years, I am so much happier than I ever was. He says, I don't even know why. I go to work, I'm all excited, it's fun. There's problems, people do things, so I have fun dealing with them. It's like, wow, it can't be that simple that all you do is let go of this garbage that was holding me down, and all of a sudden, life is fun and I'm going up. I told you, it's like a hot air balloon that's tethered to the ground. You're all of a sudden shocked to find out that if you cut the tethers, the balloon goes up. Cut the tethers, you go up. And that's the truth. And that's the only way up, by the way. It has to be this work that you do on yourself constantly to let go of what is stuck inside of you. Don't let anything else get stuck, because it's not worth it. I'd rather be high. If you come up and walk to me and say something mean to me, if I was happy before you said it, I would rather be happy after you said it than be depressed for the rest of the day because you said it. Now, if you stand in front of me and keep saying it, I'm going to deal with it. You became something I got to deal with. Oh, why are you saying this? There's something we can do about this. Because you're having a problem, not because I'm having a problem, right? I want to help. But if you just walk by, somebody says something to you, it insults you, well, I think you might let it go. You don't know why they said it. I mean, I don't even know them. Okay, then let it go. How can you be upset because somebody you don't even know walked by and said something mean to you? Don't even think about it. Just let it go. It was an experience. Whoa, that's fun. Thanks. There's a rush. Okay? And you just learn to play, and you will get high, and then you will enjoy what you're doing. And somehow, when you go to work and you enjoy your job, and you're the most enthused person there, you're the one who gets the raise. But I didn't try to get the raise. That's right. And you didn't complain because the other guy got it. When the other person got the raise, you told the boss, "I know, he really is a good worker." And the boss thinks, "Well, he's a good team player." You will just rise to the top of every single thing you do. You want to be a sports athlete? You watch the NFL players, and they literally sit there and say, quarterbacks and receivers have to have a short memory, because if they got intercepted or they dropped the ball, they better not have that in their mind next time. That's yoga. That's spirituality. Because if you have in your mind, I might drop it, you will. If you're playing an instrument, you think whether people like what you're playing, you will not be able to lose yourself in the music. It's true of everything. You let go. You let go of yourself. You constantly, perpetually let go of yourself. At first, it's little things. You'll get happier. Then some bigger things happen. You say, "Well, might as well let go of this." It happened. And pretty soon, you get really high. Now, I will spend one moment talking about God, because it's the only time you should ever use the word. You have now freed yourself of your personal self. That's what this is called. Let go. You constantly let go. And someday, I guarantee you, if you do it enough, not only will you get a rush every once in a while, but you'll start to feel, we call it Shakti in yoga. You'll feel this flow of energy rushing up inside of you, higher than you've ever felt, higher than when you first held your child, higher than the first time you kissed your lover. Just total bliss, total well-being, welling up inside of you, and it will never stop. It would just keep waving. The Bible calls it the rush of holy waters. It would just keep rising up inside of you. And at some point, it's so beautiful that you have trouble staying outside, that you have trouble pulling your attention outside. That's real meditation. That's something you do. It's something that's happening to you. It pulls you in. When you're in the arms of your beloved, have you noticed your eyes are closed? Have you noticed you don't want to talk? The experience is inside. You're experiencing beauty inside, and it pulls you into it, doesn't it? You melt back into it. Well, in real high states, this energy flows so strongly that it pulls you back into it. And what the great masters have told us, the great yogis, is that if you let go enough, over time, it washes you away. That your whole sense of being falls back into that flow and merges. Christ said, "My Father and I are one." Yogananda has a chapter in autobiography that says, "My experience in cosmic consciousness." You merge back into the source of your being, which is a very high thing. You're a very high being of pure light, pure energy, pure joy and love. And then that's what emanates off of you. And that's the great masters. That's why we pay respect in this temple. Saints and sages of all times and all religions. People have reached very high states. And every one of them said the same thing. "That which I am, so also are you." Those are Christ's words. Christ said it, "As I sit by the throne of my Father." These are exact words. "As I sit by the throne of my Father." It's a high state of being. It's a seat of consciousness. "As I sit by the throne of my Father, so you shall sit by my throne. And these things which I do, so you should do these things and even greater things." In other words, what's he telling you? You're pretty high stuff. You got something really special going on in there that can be a tremendous blessing to you and to everybody around you. Not if you're sitting there limiting yourself to this tiny little world of your psyche that's out there taking and grabbing and fighting and complaining, which is what goes on, doesn't it? So I'm encouraging you, wake up. Wake up. All right? Do something great with yourself. Free yourself. Liberate yourself. Jai Gurudev.